Hello! This is a little video lesson for my lovely Year 13 group who are studying Sport and Society. I hope you can find it alright because all this new technology is amazing and I love it. So obviously I don't want you to miss out on a lesson, so because of the snow I'm trying to do this for you so that we stay on track because we've got loads to cover in such a short period of time. So I'm going to crack on straight away with it. Last lesson we spoke about the cultural influences that might affect participation in sport. We had a bit of a discussion about the lack of ethnic role models in sport for people to look up to and therefore want to participate in sport a bit more. We also talked about people's religious beliefs and religious commitments and how this might affect people's participation in sport. So linking into that, we're going to look at some of the barriers to participation in sport, and also we're going to look at some of the strategies and initiatives that are in place or that were in place that can increase participation levels in sport. So that's the general objective for this lesson that we're going to do today. I'm going to start with just going through some of the barriers to participation in sport. I'm going to tell you what they are, so you might want to grab a pen so that you can take down some of this information because it is quite a lot, but there's no other way of me getting it to you. So let's do that now, please. If you haven't got a pen, go grab one really quickly so that you can get some of the information down. Or obviously you can just watch a video again, I mean, it's up to you. Right, so some of the barriers then to participation in sport. We've got gender. Does your gender affect your level of participation in sport? I want you to think about that and whether males and females take part in sport at the same rate. And we've looked into that already, so you should have some information about that all ready to go from. As well as the ethnic origin topic, we talked about how that can affect people's participation, and that's also a barrier to taking part in sports. Another one is your age. Are you afforded more time to take part in sport? If you are a younger person, you've got less responsibility, you've got no job. I mean, think about yourselves. Do you have a job? If you do, does that stop you from participating in sport, and is that relative to your age? Has your ageing process meant that you have less time to participate in sport? I bet it does, because now on a Saturday, instead of going out playing whatever with your friends, you're actually working in a shop somewhere doing something to get some money to do other things. So think about how age might affect or be a barrier to participating in sport. We've also got a huge barrier, which is basically socio-economic background, and this means that people are put into a category depending on the job that they've got and how much money they earn, and that is socio-economic background, and we have to look at that and how that can affect participation in sport. For example, does having a high-powered job leave less time for sport? Well, yes it does, because with a high-powered job comes responsibility, comes longer working hours, etc, etc. It doesn't mean that you have as much time to be able to participate, so that is going to affect your participation levels and how often you can take part in sport. We've got resources, so depending on where you live, what provisions available, what facilities have you got near your house that are going to mean you can participate in sport. Think about things like that. So that's time and that's resources. Another thing is fitness levels and level of sporting ability. How is that affecting sports participation? If you're an unfit person, how does society view you, for example? And is that going to leave you feeling negative and not want to participate? I think it might. So think about that. Also, linking into that, and very closely, these things are all interlinked. I say to you every single week, sport and society is such a huge topic whereby everything's interlinked together, that we have to think about things as a holistic approach and look at everything as a whole. So we've got lifestyle as another barrier to participation in sport, such as if you are a smoker or a drinker, what medical conditions is that going to create that are going to stop you from participating in sport? Well, you're going to get things like type 2 diabetes if you don't follow a healthy, balanced diet. You are going to get coronary heart disease if you smoke, for example. And all these things are barriers to participation because they're stopping you from actually taking part in the sport. So I've talked quite a lot there about some of the barriers, and I've given you them. What I want you to do and bring to lesson on Tuesday to show that you can put this information into context and you can show me that you understand this learning, I want you to provide an example for each barrier and give me an example of why it's a barrier to participation. Think about whether you've had any of those barriers that have stopped you from participating in sport, for example. And tell me and suggest ways that we can overcome that. So that's something that we're going to talk about in a big discussion on Tuesday when hopefully all the snow's gone away, and we can talk about how people can overcome those barriers that we've talked about. Another thing, obviously we always try and relate everything to university for you guys. I always say to you, there's a lot of independent study at university, and we try and link that in our lessons. So what I want you to do is do some further reading around this topic area, and as part of your second learning objective that I talked about at the beginning, I said that we're going to look at some strategies and initiatives that help increase participation in sport. And what I'd like to do is perhaps research and compile some information to bring to lesson again on Tuesday about the strategies and initiatives that are in place. What you'll probably find when you do that research online is the old Labour government initiatives. And I don't mind that, you can bring them. What I would like is you to find out the names of the strategy or initiative, what it was in place for, so what was it hoping to achieve, and was it successful? Was it effective in increasing participation? Because that's what they're all there for. And just for current affairs, what I would like to do is look up the white paper, which is the new government's set of rules, if you like, about how we are going to start doing things. So look up whether the white paper says anything about increasing participation in sport, or whether it contrasts what the old Labour government thought. Obviously with this new government we need to be thinking about what their priorities are to do with sport. So have a look at that please, and we'll have a big discussion about that on Tuesday. Have I forgotten anything? I don't think so. The last thing that I want to do is, well, the last two things. Firstly, assignment is due in on Tuesday. Please put it in the drop-in box. Make sure you have a neat front cover on with my name on it and also the assignment title, and then I'll get them marked and back to you. Secondly, you are an awesome class. Thank you for logging on and having a look at this. Please leave a comment underneath so I know that you've seen it, or email me any questions that you might have and I'll help you out as far as I can do. The last thing is snow fun. If you have had massive snow fun, then I want to know about it. I know I have, and I'm going to bring to the table evidence of me building an igloo that could quite clearly and easily hold a small family of Eskimos. So if you can beat that, I'd be loving to see it. Bringing pictures, videos, because we'll have a look at them on Tuesday. Right, thanks guys. Any problems, give me an email. Bye!